Our company is Investors Central. It's an unlisted public company operating nationally. It was established as an investment vehicle to fund the wholly owned subsidiary of Finance One. Finance One is a non-bank lender providing finance for consumer and commercial borrowers, predominantly for the purchase of a motor vehicle, light truck, or mobile plant and equipment. Investors have the opportunity to invest in our company and bypass the low-rate fixed interest market that the larger financiers are offering and invest directly in a non-bank lender for superior fixed interest returns. I personally have been operating in the finance industry since 1997, 22 years now of lending and collecting money. This also included me going out 3 nights a week to collect on these loans. This was the making of our company. By truly understanding how to collect money, we were able to build a very strong foundation for credit. 1997, it was an ideal time for me to start to learn my trade. Unemployment, it was over 8%, and some regions of Australia, well over 10%. We continued to grow. We established our business in Townsville, a regional economy which has provided us economies of scale, so lower cost of living, but we've been able to retain key staff members over a longer period of time. And our key members are still with the company today. During the GFC of 2008, we prospered. We had new clients looking for finance, and we managed our existing clients through those uncertain times. We found that some of our competitors did not have the capital to be able to lend out during this unstable period. However, we continued to grow, delivering outstanding returns. Our business, it's remained strong during times of economic uncertainty. We've been profitable from our first year, with our foundation investors continuing to invest and our growing investor base reinvesting for additional terms. Of September this year, we had over 500 investors across Australia with over 630 investments. Investors, they have the confidence as they rank first in preference to be paid. We've structured the company so that our investors rank before ordinary shareholders, and there is a covenant that mandates this through our prospectus. Investor Central will not take on any financial debt, secured or unsecured, while any investor is outstanding. There is not $1 of bank funding. Profits, they've been reinvested back into the company since inception. And we also keep 7.5% of funds borrowed from investors just set aside in cash for capital adequacy or early redemptions. And we also keep a lot back into our equity tranche as well. There are no penalties for redeeming your investment early if you need to. Early redemptions, though, they're at the total board's discretion. Keeping in mind the protection of the overall group of investors is paramount in every decision that is made, meaning that we can't have a run on our fund. We offer a fixed interest return. It's paid monthly, providing a steady income stream to our investors. And we have paid over $64 million in interest returns since 2010. The company is led by a driven team of executives whom have consistently delivered increased profits and strong returns for all our investors. All of the directors, they're investors also, with their own capital invested into the business. So they haven't been granted investment shares or preference shares. They actually have their own physical cash invested into the business. And I'm also proud to say that over 40% of the Finance One team are now investors also through a special employment prospectus. So a staff member at Finance One, instead of a minimum of $25,000, it's a minimum of $1,000. And if they can't save the $1,000, they've only got to save $500, and we contribute $500. So the first ever investment, they get to double. That's a great return for our team members. Investors, they're attracted to our fixed terms, ranging from 3 months through to 5 years, with fixed interest rates from 3.75% up to 10% per annum. An investment in our company is free from any fees and charges to you, which sets us apart from many similar investments. Computer Share. It's our share registry, issuing share certificates in the company, along with distributing the monthly interest payments to our investors' nominated bank account. And I think today was our round where the investments came through to our investors' nominated bank accounts. There are different terms that we offer for our investors to invest with our company. A minimum of $25,000 through to $250,000, and a minimum term of 3 months for a 3.75% return. 6 months is 4%, and 12 months is 4.5%, right through to a 5-year term of 7% per annum. We've also got bandwidths from $250,000 to $500,000, from a 2-year term at 5.5% through to a 5-year term at 8%. For the first time this year, we've offered a 2-year term for amounts more than $500,000 up to $1.5 million, and a 7% return on an investor's money. Right through to a 5-year term, it's still 10% per annum. Interest is paid monthly to our investors' nominated bank account. An investor can have more than $1.5 million invested with our company. They just have it in different maturity dates, so we don't have too much capital maturing at one particular point in time. Our company, we've taken a measured approach to growth. We've raised capital progressively to match the demands and opportunities presented by our expanding business and broker network for Finance One. We're proud to provide complete transparency, demonstrating to investors exactly how money is used to generate these strong returns. Our company, we understand the responsibility we have to our investors. At Investor Central, we take a transparent approach, providing the opportunity for our investors to fully understand the business that they are investing in, and we communicate regularly. We meet with our investors twice a year to present our full and half-year independently audited reports, along with forwarding our quarterly performance updates. We've chosen the avenue of direct investors rather than obtain capital from the larger financiers. Therefore, we've been able to retain 100% ownership of the company, but we're not restrained when those other financiers can change their credit decisions depending on the financial climate. Finance One, it is a non-bank lender, providing finance for consumer and commercial borrowers to borrow up to $125,000. And our current loan book today is over $190 million, with over 12,500 active clients with a current loan spread right across Australia, different economies and regions. Finance One writes loans to commercial and consumer borrowers, and Finance One's lending business has enjoyed growth over the past financial year, with its loan book carrying value increasing 35% and our revenue growing by 33%. The average loan size, though, whilst we go up to $125,000, the average loan size for a consumer loan is just $18,000, predominantly for a purchase of a second-hand motor vehicle. We do new cars, but it's predominantly second-hand. So we're not talking big ticket items that can fall over. There's no $1 million loans, capped at $125,000, an average loan size of just $18,000 for a consumer loan. Our commercial loans, their average loan size is $27,900. The demand for our product constantly increases, and we've established Finance One on a national level through a network of over 1,000 finance brokers referring our range of products. The group's broker network has also expanded to include broker aggregators, whom also can promote our range of products through their networks. We go through an accreditation process before any new broker is established with Finance One. And new brokers, we only have a soft launch with them, so we only take a small amount of new business from them at the start so we can test and measure. We test and measure the clients, the sector that they're working in, being the region, but also right through to the car yards that they're processing loans from. Finance One's assessment process, it's personalised. When assessing an application, we will take the time to ask more questions than the average lender, so we can fully understand our client's personal financial situation and credit history. So our finance brokers will supply us with an application form, proof of address, income, credit file, proposed purchase, but a minimum of 3 months worth of bank statements on a consumer loan, up to 6 months worth of bank statements on a commercial loan. Our finance brokers, they are only a referrer of a lead to Finance One. We do all the decisioning around that. So we drill down into somebody's 3 months worth of bank statements, making sure that they truly have capacity to get a loan with Finance One. We also phone and verify key stability areas around their residency and their employment. Consequently, through this rigorous application process, 4 out of 5 clients don't go through. So historically, Finance One has only settled 1 in 5 loans. We are very prudent on whom we give a loan to. A unique attribute about Finance One is our managing client relationships throughout the term of their loan. Our team, we work closely with each client to help them through the repayment process and to keep them on top of managing their obligations. There are the 4 C's of credit. You've got character, capacity, capital, along with collateral. We at Finance One use the 5th C of compassion. We see this as an integral part of our responsibility to clients whom have specifically come to us to either establish or re-establish their credit rating. Our lending policies, they promote responsible lending, and our personalised loan management procedures, they mitigate the risks associated with borrowers' defaults. There are times when people can experience difficulties for whatever reason, whether that's a loss of income, partner separation, or illness. We have the processes in place for these occasions to recoup the funds like any responsible financier. Our dedicated team, we work closely through these times, ensuring that our clients can honour their commitments. Finance One's major point of difference has been its compassionate and personal approach to lending, allowing us to help hundreds of new clients every month. Historically, Finance One has specialised in secured consumer car loans, and over time, we've expanded into commercial loans and personal loans. The consumer car loan industry is changing. In 10 to 15 years' time, it's a dynamic industry sector with driverless cars, automation, and technology. It's an exciting time. But for us to specialise and be a one-product lender, just doing only car loans, I think we'd be challenged in 10 years' time. We have a long history when we first started lending of doing unsecured personal loans. So we haven't always done just secured car loans. It is still the mainstay of our business, but we're diversifying our loan range of products. Finance One, we've expanded into the personal and commercial loans, and our commercial loans currently make up just 20% of our loan book carrying value. Our personal loans are only a very small cohort of loans at 0.07%. To minimise risk, unsecured loans in both consumer and commercial areas will be capped at no more than $15,000 for the next 12 months. Finance One's intention is that personal loans, secured and unsecured, will not exceed more than 10% of the loan book writing values each month over the next 12-month period. Finance One currently lends approximately $10 million per month. We've increased our infrastructure in Townsville and also the team to have the capacity to lend up to $15 million per month. Our group is also focused on our direct leads business. So we've expanded this team so that Finance One not only relies on the broker network to send us business, but clients can come directly to Finance One. We've also got an opportunity to remarket to existing clients. So previously, we were actually sending those clients away that came back to us to get another loan because we didn't want to step on the broker's toes. All lenders remarket to their existing clients. So since we've been able to do that, we're able to get a repeat client. From that, though, those same clients that we'd already built up a history for a worthwhile reason such as bills, holidays, or life expenses, and they came back to us for a personal loan, we had to actually turn them away. Now, for an appropriate client, Finance One can offer a personal loan from $5,000 to $15,000 unsecured, or even up to $25,000 with additional security. This will continue to help Finance One retain good quality clients into the future. I'd like to give you an update from the Hayne Royal Commission also. So the federal government released its Royal Commission Implementation Roadmap in August, with most recommendations to be implemented by the end of 2020. The recommendations which are of interest to Finance One are the Mortgage Best Interest Duty and Broker Commission. So there's work done around VBIs, volume-based incentives. What that means is that a lender was giving incentives to the broker network to send more volume their way. The brokers were engaged by the client to offer a best interest product. So what is the best interest for that client? With the incentives to send more volume to one particular lender, there was a quandary with that. So we at Finance One, we embraced that change to large VBIs to our industry sector. Our deferred sales model for add-on insurances and with changes to selling tactics. So now there'll be a cooling off period before at the car yard, added on insurances can be sold. So that provides then an opportunity for the clients to really think whether they do need that insurance or not. So they're not in that high pressure sales tactic. Finance One embraces these changes. Licensee obligations to report compliance concerns or misconduct to ASIC. That means if we've got a finance broker that's out there not doing the right thing, we're obligated to report them. We have no problem with doing that. An interesting outcome was the ASIC versus Westpac case for responsible lending. In August of 2019, Justice Perryman of the Federal Court handed down his decision for the ASIC versus Westpac case, with the judge concluding that Westpac had not breached its responsible lending obligations. ASIC has now appealed this decision, and which they say that it creates uncertainty as to what is required by a lender to comply with its obligations when assessing a loan application, and that the decision is inconsistent with the legislative intention around responsible lending. So we'll keep a close eye on that, but we were very happy with that, with Judge Perryman's decision through the Westpac case. It was an interesting read in the Australian. Also, the Australian Finance Complaints Authority was established. AFCA, as it's known, it replaced two financial services ombudsmen. And Finance One is a member of AFCA. And our clients are able to use this service if they've got any problems with Finance One. AFCA, its mantra is all about fairness. So it sits outside of ASIC and it makes determinations and decisions on its own. So at Finance One, we have a long history of our responsible lending, but also working with our clients. So for a regulator to be able to utilise that service, or for a client to be able to utilise that service and come back to us, we want to engage our clients. We embrace this change. We've taken steps to ensure that our organisation is sufficiently resourced, and we've increased our compliance regime to make sure that we are up with any of those legislative changes that come within the future. Investor Central, new subsidiary. So I'm going to drill down into personal finance, but I'm also going to drill down into our commercial loans as well. That Investor Central's new subsidiary of Finance One Commercial Proprietary Limited, it will enable us to increase our commercial lending expertise while spreading the risk to our investor base. Still got Finance One Consumer, still got Finance One Commercial, but they're ring-fenced. So one entity, the other entity, our investors, you still rank first in preference to be paid, and we fund both those loan books. The commercial lending is a good performer, and I look forward to providing you some details further on in regards to the specific performance of our commercial loan book compared to our consumer loan book. It gives me great pleasure to also run through some of the highlights for our financial report through to June of 2019. Our total revenue, it was up 33% from $33 million to over $44 million. Net profit before tax, it was up 19% from $6 million to over $7.3 million. Net profit after tax, it was up 25% from $4.2 million to $5.3 million. And total equity, it's grown also 36%, from $13 million to over $18 million worth of retained funds back into our business. Our loan book value, it increased also from 39%, from $125 million to over $175 million. And we returned over $19 million in interest payments to our investors last financial year. And the gap, it continues to grow through the reinvestment of over 85% of our profits on a monthly basis back into the loan book. So the disparity between what we owe our investors and the actual size of the loan book. Like any lender, risk management, it's a vital part of our business. And we manage this very carefully. As Finance One's loan book grows and matures and remains competitive in our industry sector, we budget off medium write-off levels of between 11 and 14%. Our combined total for provision for doubtful debts and write-offs last financial year was 11.59%. That's a great result for our collections team. And a lot of our collections guys are here today. And I respect what you do on a daily basis, and I'm grateful that I work with you guys in the team. So thank you very much. You'll see an increase there. And I just wanted to talk to you about that. Afterpay is a market darling, and we've seen a lot of our clients having extra afterpay facilities, which takes away some of their discretionary income. So what we saw over Christmas time was just after, a lot of people had afterpay, and then they started missing a couple of payments. For us at Finance One, we're different from a traditional lender. We will work with our clients over a period of time. So whilst they may miss a couple of payments along the term of their loan, we concentrate on next week's payment. So if you're making a $100 a week payment and you can't afford $200 a week, there's no point in us demanding that. So we work on the $100 a week, and if we can increase that to $110 and then work on that modelling, then that works. All that happens is you end up extending your loan term at the end of the loan. So it's how we work with our clients, and it's how we engage them. It's different from the larger financiers because you've got to carry a provision for doubtful debts, and you'll see that in our annual report. But the larger financiers, they don't want to take their profits and put that in the provision because they're listed on the stock market. They want great profit, better profits for their shareholders. Whereas us, we take a long-term view to be able to work with our clients. Our actual bad debt expense on its own was only 5.8% of our revenue. We do expect this to sit around 7%, as that's what we've modelled the business on. This equates, though, to less than 2 cents in every dollar of the entire loan book. Managing risk has always been a priority to Finance One. And our loan account managers, we stay in regular contact with our clients. We've also increased our provision for doubtful debts to now over $8.3 million. Consumer versus commercial. The car market, as I mentioned, in Australia, around the world, it is changing. Technology, it's an exciting part of our industry sector. So 3 years ago, we launched commercial loans only in a very small cohort to test and measure. So what we're looking for is a small business, medium enterprise that needs a particular work-ready asset for their business. Now that could be a wood chipper for a tree lopper, or that could be a ute, or it's got to be it's a critical purchase to their business. That's what we look for. Generally, we're looking for a better credit-worthy client on a commercial loan, and most of our clients have a 10% deposit going in. The performance over the last 3 years has been great. So if we looked and compared these cohort of loans between our consumer as opposed to commercial, the white section shows perfect pace. Never miss an beat, 70%, as opposed to 82% for commercial. If we roll that out to our 1 to 90 days, you can see the difference in the cohorts for 13% for commercial. 91 to 180 is just 2%, and 180 days plus is 3%. The Finance One commercial part of the business de-risks the overall exposure to our investor base. It's a great addition. With this diversification, this helps the business model, and the graphs prove the performance of the loan book. This is why that we've established Finance One Commercial Proprietary Limited as another entity. The next slide looks at our write-off tolerance. This helps demonstrate the strengths of our business model. The following graph shows our loan book, principal and interest owed to Finance One over the next 5 years, which is over $273 million. We owed after cash holdings are returned to our investors as at the 30th of June, $148 million. That's a difference of over $125 million from what we're owed by our client base to what we owe our investors. To demonstrate the strengths of our business model, if we take off our historical provision for doubtful debts of 3%, it still leaves us with a balance of $264 million. If we were to stress test the business model and take that write-off to 7%, we're still owed more than $253 million. Then to extrapolate that write-off to a full 25%, we're still owed more than $200 million. The write-off tolerance equation helps demonstrate the strengths of our business model. We continue to build a substantial margin of safety. Ladies and gentlemen, I invite you to consider an investment in our company as part of your balanced and diverse investment portfolio. Referrals, they are an important part of our expansion, and I welcome you to refer anyone whom you feel may be interested in an investment in our company. We offer a high yield, reliable monthly return from 3.75 to 10% per annum. No management or establishment fees to maintain your investment in our company. Transparency, it's been the key to our success. We offer a personal approach with a dedicated investor relations team, and we've reinvested over 85% of our profits back into the company since inception. I'm also happy to answer any questions that you may have. So the question was, do we have a target for our risk factors and KPIs that we drive the business around? Firstly, we've got an independent board. So we've got two non-executive directors, which are Andrew Kemp and also Joe McShanag is here. Andrew's based in Brisbane, Joe's based in Melbourne. Again, they're investors. We've also got working directors in the company, being Quinn Cowan and also Stephen Jones. So I mentioned on the slide there, we budget on medium write-off levels of between 11 and 14%. That's the caps. So they're the flags. We meet on a monthly basis. We have a board meeting, but we're actively engaged, the working directors in the company. So we meet all the time with our collections team, looking for flags on what may be happening in our industry sector, making sure that not only regions, but also dealerships that we're dealing with are doing the right thing by us. So to answer your question, it's around that 11 to 14%. So if we see that going past 14%, we've got the ability to slow down. We're not a company that's listed on the stock market. We don't need to grow for growth's sake. The changing to the personal finance product, we were sending great clients away that we weren't able to help. Now we're able to help those great payers. We've already built a rapport with those clients, so we want to keep them engaged with Finance One. We've got 12,500 active clients. We've had over 100,000 applicants since we've established in 2010. We've issued nearly 20,000 loans, so we can remarket to those clients if they need another car loan and need our service into the future. Any other questions? Nope. I'd just like to mention, if I may, Lynn Moody has been a big part of my life for a long period of time. And if you didn't know, Lynn's retired from our company. She's facing a battle, but if there's somebody that can fight, anybody that knows Lynn, she's no shrinking violet. She's determined, she's strong in character, and she's fighting an insidious disease at the moment called melanoma, and we are going to miss her terribly. And there's so many things to celebrate with Lynn. She was not only a great supporter, a great team member of our team when she was there, she's just a remarkable person. And to go on the road with Lynn regularly, whether it's chopping your finger off or having a laugh and having a natter, but she was always there. She was always there, and she's going to miss the friendships. She's going to miss the relationships that she's developed over a long period of time. And she was one of the original investors in there. I'd just like to read something out that somebody sent me from Melbourne. In all the time and in all the contact that we had, you were more like a long-time friend, catching up with our latest events and our lives. When it came to work, it was never hard to email or pick up the phone or seek your assistance with any questions. Your warmth and genuine interest in people was always evident. And she had a special touch And we love you very much, Lynn, and we wish you every success. Any other questions, that I'm happy to roll it up. Dessert's going to be served shortly. I understand some of you may need to get back to work. I appreciate you coming today and your attendance. If you do have any questions that you want to ask, you're welcome to ask myself or any other fellow directors as well. So thank you. Ta.